Hi guys, it's Tamara and I want to share with you my top 5 health tips for vocalists and singers. I've been teaching for a really long time, almost 10 years now, and apart from the obvious such as making sure you get enough sleep, drinking lots of water, staying hydrated, and making sure you don't stress a lot, I thought I would touch my personal top 5 points. My number 1 point is screaming and whispering. Watch these. Screaming obviously can be really detrimental to the voice if you do it for long periods of time. I tend to find young students who came into my studio would have just gone to a concert or a sports carnival and had been screaming so much that they would actually lose their voice completely and expect to get a lesson that day. Wasn't going to happen. You can't put the strain on your voice like that. So imagine that your vocal cords are your hands, and if you constantly clap your hands like this, like when you're yelling, it's gonna go like this. What's gonna happen to your hands? They're gonna go fully red. Mine aren't too red, but they're gonna go red and look horrible and be sore, and that's what you're doing to your little vocal cords. Whispering on the other end of that can be really detrimental as well because you're talking with very little air and the vocal cords are stretching to try and meet together. So try and avoid these, particularly when you're unwell or that you've had a lot of overuse on your voice. Tip number 2 is steaming. I love a good steam, and that's why so many people love singing in the shower, because it makes us feel open and hydrated and feeling great. Now you can have that experience yourself if you have your own little handheld portable steamer like mine. I have this one. This is an Australian product. It's from Bosisters, and I bought this in a pharmacy in Australia. I did try to find this exact brand in America, but I could not find one, so I found a different one on Amazon. I put the links below for you guys if you are looking for something. I like this one because it's not too fancy. It doesn't have to plug in. Very easy to wash. I actually put it in the dishwasher and put it together really easily. Now I put about 1/3 of steaming hot boiling water, and sometimes I like to put a little eucalyptus, like a eucalyptus drop in there to like really open up the nasal cavity, and then I just sit and steam. 2 tips to watch with the steamer is you should not let a child use this unsupervised. There's little holes in here and hot boiling water can come out and burn a child or yourself, so be careful. The second one is you should not steam 30 minutes till 30 minutes before or after you have sung. It brings a lot of blood flow to the vocal cords, and you have to be careful that you don't bring too much stress onto the vocal cords when you are singing. My 3rd tip is that you should watch overuse of your voice. I find that a lot of students have full-time jobs or have been students all day, and then they come into the room and then they sing, and then they go and do a gig afterwards, or they do a performance, and then they go and party. It's a lot of stress on your vocal cords. I personally found this. I found probably in my 3rd or 4th year teaching, I was teaching all day, I would go home and teach home students, and then I would go and do a gig that night, and then I would do that all again the next day, and my voice got so exhausted. If you are finding you are getting vocal fatigue, I highly suggest you try and give yourself a rest, or even go to an ENT to get your voice checked and make sure that everything is in order and all healthy. Tip number 4 is creating an unnatural sound with your voice. And I say this because singers, we love to listen to other singers, so we are inspired to learn all different kinds of music. However, you have to be really careful that when you go to sing as yourself, you are not creating a sound that is not natural to you. For example, if you really love Christina Aguilera and you're really inspired by her runs and her beautiful high pitches, but then her really sort of raspy and earthy sounds down the bottom, you have to be careful that when you go to sing, you're not trying to completely mimic her sound, because A, that won't sound like you, and B, you might be doing damage to your vocal cords and your vocal system, and you want to really avoid that. And tip number 5 is watch what you eat. Now, this is very important because if you go to bed and just before you go to bed, you eat all sorts of things like sugary drinks or sodas or really tomatoey sauces or fatty foods or salty foods, you might actually create a chemical reaction in your stomach, which later that night will create reflux. Reflux is not great at all. It feels awful, and what will happen is your acid will come from your stomach all the way up into your nasal passage and can actually pour a little bit onto your vocal cords, which is so gross and also really can do damage. Stomach acid outside of the stomach can actually really hurt tissue outside. So this area here, if you were lying down and the stomach acid goes all the way up, it can really hurt you. So really watch those sorts of foods, especially before bedtime. I'm not saying don't ever have them, like things like coffee. I live off coffee, but you want to make sure that you're wary of when you eat them and how much you are eating them. And they are my top 5 tips, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please, if you have other tips you want to share with our community, put them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to know if any of these have been helpful to you. I'll see you next time. Happy singing! Bye!